Thanks for co-hosting, Howie G. I guess you're doing that.
Yes, I have a different, yes, I am doing that. Definitely,
Okay. Thank you.
of course.
Good evening, everyone. We'll wait a few moments. Okay, yogis, glad to see you. As many of you as are willing to put your cameras on, at least for our hellos. Much appreciation and opportunity to unmute and say hello to each other. Feel free to say where you're calling in from, and we'll get the show on the road. Really nice to see your faces. I'm calling from Sausalito, California.
Hi from
Keith
Maryland.
here from Berkeley.
Hey, Keith.
Maureen from Regina.
Hello, Maureen. Glad to see you.
Glenn from
Mike.
San Francisco.
I heard the San Francisco part. I didn't hear the first part.
Glenn H.
Oh,
from San
Glenn. Yes,
Francisco.
yes. Welcome, Glenn.
Good
This is
evening.
Mike calling in from Boston.
Hi, Mike in Boston. Welcome.
Cecilia in Scottsdale. Hi, Howie.
Hello, Cecilia. Where are you?
I'm hidden.
Okay.
Bad internet.
No worries. Glad you're with us.
Thank you.
Howard from BC. Hi, Howie.
Hey, Howard.
Jeff Abrams in San Francisco.
Welcome, Jeffrey. Glad you're with us.
Rebecca in San Francisco.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hi,
Glad
it's
you're
Leith
here.
from Edmonton.
Hi, Leith. Great being with your community this last weekend.
Oh, it was lovely having you. Only way it could have been better if you could have stayed a bit longer. So it was lovely. Thank you for coming.
It's short, sweet, but maybe longer another time. Anyway, anyone else?
Edmonton.
Is that Jean from Edmonton?
No, Elspeth.
Elsbeth. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Great to
No,
see you.
This is Jean from San Leandro on the other side of the bay.
Yay. Glad you're with us, Jean.
I'm
Sarah
Pierce.
Larkspur. Sorry, Sarah Larkspur. Hi.
Hi, Sarah. Glad to see you again so soon.
You too.
No way, me.
Okay. Okay, so we are, hey, Anne Marie, I'm glad you're with us tonight. No need to put your camera on, but if you like, feel free, but up there, Anne Marie just sent a heart floating through our meditation community. Anyway, glad to be with you, a real opportunity to freshen our, what's the word in Pali is chitta, freshen our consciousness, freshen our mind. brush the dust of memory, open our hearts and minds to to our own nature, as well as a capacity to then relate to our experience with a little bit less reactivity, a little bit more open-heartedness. And what makes that so accessible is if our attention is a little bit more continuous than it is sometimes. It's one of the ways that we strengthen our chitta, is we try to develop as much as we can, as portable as we can, a continuity of attention. From the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to sleep, at least that's the option. But often our lives are quite busy, and we can have many, many moments with a cover of mindfulness and a general inclination toward kindness, compassion. But here is a chance to sustain that recollection, either attention or kindness, through the duration of our sitting. So let's find our posture. Just let yourself feel the presence of others supporting you, lifting you, helping to sustain you. This is the power of Sangha. And don't underestimate the power, your power, to lift all of us just by your presence. I know I would not be sustained if it wasn't for you. In my practice, we have a system of mutual support. So once you've oriented to this supportive community, just the action of taking refuge in the Sangha community, now we do what Sanghas are most supportive at. We remind ourselves of the Buddha, that in us which is awake and can awaken. So once we find our posture, let our eyes close softly. We acknowledge the Buddha. We acknowledge that simple fact that there is awareness here. There is chitta. The Buddha in us knows there is nothing more important than this simple, what Suzuki Roshi calls the ultimate fact, that you are aware here. And as we are exploring, resting in that state of being aware, we naturally feel our sitting body with its senses. And we mingle our attention with our body. We feel our body intimately, so that we melt away any dividing line between body and attention. Letting our body be like a block of ice left out in a midday sun. Melting into the openness of our practice. Letting it settle into a gentle stillness. Without trying to still our body, we allow it to become still. Without trying to still our mind, it becomes still as we connect our attention to our body and breath and sustain that connection through the duration. Inevitably, there's a emptying of our usual preoccupations and a filling it with this simple present experience of body and breath. Intimately noticing the body's experience of sitting and breathing, feeling the texture of the breath, spreading out all around it, not missing any part of the in-breath and the out-breath. Noticing if there's any space between the breaths. Just continually letting go, letting be. Just this body, just this breath. Our attention imbued with kindness and relaxation and interest. Intimately feeling each of our body's breath. Feeling each out-breath as it lets go. And as other experiences rise up in our awareness and become prominent, we simply acknowledge them graciously, hearing, noticing the sounds come and go. When moods come, we notice them, accept them, and experience their nature, also changing like weather. When thoughts come, we notice them like clouds floating through a windy sky. Other sensations, we feel them. Everything welcome. Clinging to nothing, we anchor our attention in the body and breath. Just this moment. No higher mountain to climb, no other place to be, except settled back in the moment. Just this. Being aware. Each time you realize that you've been absorbed in a thought bubble, this is mindfulness re-arising, doing its work of waking you up to where you are. Just set the intention to continue to allow mindful attention to do its magic, to stay connected to your body and breath whenever you wake up. And just stay undistracted as long as it lasts. It's all that can be asked. And simply to appreciate that reawakening and use it as a reminder to settle the attention back in the body. Come back to simplicity. Come back to your senses, just this moment. Since we're not trying to reach anywhere but here, every moment is then fresh, a new beginning. So if you're sinking into dullness, your body is very tense, we notice these things, but we just refresh ourselves and begin again. Nothing lost. Available to the next body, breath, sound, mood. And if we do make a shift in our attention or refresh ourselves, we do it with full attention so that each moment of attention is precious. Just this. So before we check in, continue with the evening, just thought I would encourage you to look around at your space that you're sitting in, just your temple, and then kind of see it with the eyes of awakening, eyes that have been cleansed a little bit through your attention, careful attention. Can't remember who said it, but said something to the effect that the voyage of discovery is not traveling to distant places, but to seeing with new eyes. That's the real discovery. I've noticed that over these years since COVID, sitting in this room often has this much more of a alive and charged quality when I've been sitting in it, practicing in it. And the room didn't change, but my mind did. So it just reminds us that that our experience of the world depends so much on the state of our heart and mind. And the state of our heart and mind is something that something that can be enhanced. Or, as we know, it can be defiled, as the word defilement is used in the teachings. Which just means that our mind is inundated with what's called the unwholesome, the forces of grasping or greed, of hatred, ill will, and delusion, the delusion of a certain kind of separateness cut off from the flow of life. That's all mind-made. Anyway, I was just really appreciating the space that I'm in tonight, and I felt like my defilements quieted down a little bit, and the place feels a little more fresh, and I thought maybe yours did too. So check it out. I'm curious what you noticed in the sitting, anything about, what you noticed, anything about the instructions, any comments, descriptions, questions that emerged, or topics. Each week we just create a little space where we can support each other by confessing our delusions. And if there are questions or topics, we can all just kind of marinate in our, we could say marinate in our don't know mind, as the Koreans suggest. Say, who are you? You think you know, you don't know. Keep don't know mind. So keep the questions open, but we try anyway. Maureen, thanks for breaking the ice. So glad to hear from you.
I had a wonderful experience today of not feeling sleepy and feeling quite I was a meditator and I suddenly realized, uh-oh, not there yet. That's all I have to say.
So you went from sleepy to not sleepy
and
to
then
then
identifying
the
with
identity of meditator came up. Oh, but see, you saw that, and so that's a equal to being. That's an equal moment to a moment of being awake. Is noticing. Oh, there's the meditator. There's the identity. That's a sign of awakening, not a sign of not something to. I know you understand that, but it's not anything to judge. It's just funny.
very funny.
And it's only funny if you notice it. So thank you. Appreciate that. Stephen, please feel free.
Thank you. I guess I'm realizing that that I'm retired, and that I have like maybe 8 things going on at once. And I think that if I go to my core, I need to just organize myself. I'm a mess. That's a real realization I have tonight.
Very good insight. See, when we see our mind, we can laugh. When we're driven by it, we're crying, we're frustrated. But when you notice your mind, then there's space, and then laughter comes. So
Yeah,
thanks you for confessing to yourself your delusions.
Thank you. It's hilarious.
Pleasure. Anyone else? Topic, question, comment, description. We're very compact tonight, all fitting on one page, which is unusual. It's kind of sweet. It's like we're in a smaller room. Please, Elsbeth, it looks like you wanted to speak, so glad to see you so soon. Please, you've unmuted, so feel free to go.
I noticed that it was a lot harder tonight to stay with it. I called myself back again and again, than over the weekend where we were just sitting or all day.
Yes.
Where it was much easier to be in silence for 2 days than doing this tonight after a day.
No doubt about it. That's insight knowledge into the nature of change and impermanence. And yes, in person sitting together is such a lift, and there it is different in daily life. As long as you don't make that into a judgment that then spirals into discouragement, but it's really just the conditions are different. So you may notice every one of those moments that you say you brought yourself back, you were already back just by noticing that you drifted. Then it's just a matter of planting the seed at that moment of body awareness and breath, and just being with your breath, or just whatever else calls you back into present time. Anything that can be known is fine. And yeah, there are sittings like that but there will be sittings where continuity of practice is pretty effortless, and then there will be those where it's putting the puppy back on the paper again and again. And then you can also, another thing to notice is just, there's the comparing mind, the comparing to a previous. Yeah. All equal opportunities for mindful attention. I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you. It's great to sit with you.
Howard, may I say something?
Oh, yes, please.
I actually don't know how to, this is not my question, but I don't know how to raise my hand on the screen.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I'll work on that.
Yeah, well, if I have the gallery, I can usually see your hand and call on you, but I'm glad you inserted yourself. You're more than welcome.
Thank you. This evening, I happened to be in a room and at a time when at home when there is a lot of noise outside and even with the windows closed and there are a lot of particular noises that we have around our house a lot that I struggle with and have been struggling with for years. We live right next to a playground. Which, yeah. I still so I'm working on being able to have the noises come and go and not have feelings arise about them. And I'm wondering if you can just say a little bit more about how to do that and still stay present and kind of what the goal is when, for whatever reason, certain noises are, triggering, for lack of a better word, for me.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And sounds are challenging for all of us, really, from time to time, different things. But meditatively, sounds are just sounds. They're not considered in any way a distraction, but just the next thing to notice. And then to be able to notice the difference between just the registration of the sound and then the mental reaction to it. And both are equal opportunities to practice mindfulness. So if you find that there's a struggle with the sound, you just withdraw your attention from the sound and notice this is the feeling of struggle. But often with a feeling of struggle, there's a sense, there's an extra, what we call it a second arrow, where I think I have to do something about the struggle. I have to fix it or figure it out or work with it in some way. And really, it's just, if you can, just hover, stop, pause, and just know this is what this is what the heart that's in a state of struggle is like. And you feel it. And then you can provide something soothing to the struggle, because we can't necessarily get rid of the sound. And so what's really bothering us is our own mind. The sound's not bothering us. We're bothering the sound in a way with our different reactions. And those reactions are conditioned, so they're going to come. So we try to include them just as we would a sound. Now that's a hot fire to actually to work with that. And I often say if the fire is too hot, then I put in earplugs, or I just try to find some relief somewhere. But if I feel like I can work with it, I just go where the action is, and the action is really in the mind that's reactive, that's struggling. So.
And I imagine that the goal ultimately is to be able to hear any sound.
That's right.
And not have a
Because
reaction.
it really is just a sound. The one thing that's also a great protection from reactivity is noticing the feeling tone that accompanies the sound. So depending on your conditioning, it sounds like you have enough experience now with this sound that it arises with an unpleasant association.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just notice this is unpleasant and just tune into the unpleasantness of it, sometimes that noticing of the unpleasant is like a chain cutter that doesn't allow it to snowball into a hardened reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have gotten to that point where you're already struggling, then you want to notice that struggling mind and then bring a lot of compassion to how flooded do you feel, or as you called it, triggered.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, the sound was one thing, but it's really the sequence of all those reactions that's where the action is.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, we are all challenged by sounds. I guess I want to add one more thing. There's a phenomena on retreats. Many of people in the room have been sitting retreats with me recently. But there's a sense where people are very reactive to the different sounds in the room. and everything becomes quite personal. And so they're hurting my life. So it becomes, if it can just be hearing, it's not such a personal thing. It's just sounds. But once it becomes personal, it becomes really difficult. But the reverse is also happens is the sense of we attribute our upset to what somebody else is doing. I'm picking up on their upset or whatever that. And as soon as I offload the frustration onto other people, it becomes even more difficult to be with. But if I just treat it as my own, this is just my own mind. It's noisy in my mind right now, and it's reactive in my mind. If I treat it as my own, I can work with it easier. But if I attribute it to others, because it's so out of control, I can hardly manage my own mind, let alone managing someone else's. So I just treat it as my own. I'm not picking up on anything from anybody else. It's showing up in my experience. Anyway, I don't know if that's useful or not, but have fun with it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I guess there's one more. Jean, please feel free. It would be good if I could see you, if you don't mind.
Okay. Does that help?
Last but not least.
Okay. First, I want to say to Stephen, I'm really jealous of you. As a fairly new retiree, I am lost in what I do with this brand new phase of my life. I just came off a retreat with Howie a week and a half ago, and I left with so much peace and feeling really great. And now as I get back into the daily life of meditating constantly and every day and being in it, I get back to this like unsettling and how I move next and where do I find that path? And that's something that I'm really struggling with tonight, and I have been struggling with the last couple of days. So Stephen, be grateful for being busy. That's all I can say.
Beautiful. Jean, when you say you're struggling tonight, what is that? How do you experience that, if I may ask?
It's a lot of discomfort.
Physical discomfort?
Just a lot of like angst and anxiety.
Uh-huh. So is it possible to, and when you notice that angst and anxiety, how do you work with it?
I've been trying to give it a lot of loving kindness.
Okay, great.
And just sitting with it and trying to figure out where all that is coming from. And digging down a little bit deeper. Sometimes it gets down to fear.
I wouldn't dig too much.
Okay.
I would just really trust your kind attention and your loving kindness to reveal to you what you need to know. I think you may be depending a little too much on the analytic mind and the rational mind to figure it out and fix it and create a plan and all that. And I think that this is something that you really have to trust the present and let the future take care of itself and see what bubbles up as an impulse, as opposed to trying to work it out rationally. I just think that you might be working a little too hard, and so that puts a lot of pressure on your heart. And
I'm overthinking it.
Maybe.
That makes sense. I was a program manager, and that was my job to fix things. So here I am trying to fix something and overthinking it instead of just being in the present. I appreciate that. Thank you for those wise words. It's something I needed to hear.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's a hard one to, our job definitely gets transposed onto our lives, and I was experiencing a lot of the occupational hazard tonight as of just a stream of thinking before, because I was going to offer a little teaching, but anyway, I can relate to what you just said.
Thank you.
Good luck. Keep up with the metta. Oops. Well, thank you all for sharing your experience and challenges and I just want to say, before I launch too much into what I had originally planned, I heard this evening, maybe this doesn't need to be broadcast, but I think that it might be something that we can do to support this being. But an old friend of mine who I actually, in the 1960s, the mid 60s, when anyone of my age, 13 years old, in the mid 60s, from a Jewish family, you would have a bar mitzvah. And in those days, it was not uncommon to have a shared bar mitzvah, where you'd have a joint bar mitzvah, where two people are sharing this ritual of coming into, I don't think it's manhood. I don't even remember what the intention was. But nevertheless, this friend who I had a joint bar mitzvah with in 1966 or 67, I found out just passed away today, and was feeling a bit sad, and there was some speculation that he was in there was some degree of unhappiness, but I don't know that for sure. But I naturally began to think about what was the quality of his mind when he passed, and I naturally thought of the teachings of, especially in the Tibetan tradition, that depending on what you have cultivated in your life, many of the fruits of that will show up when you die, as you're dying. And this is why when someone is close to death, especially, and after they've died, for the first many days after they died, there is a teaching that is chanted, recited to that person. So I thought that we would all tonight chant to, his name was Jim Weinstein, Jimmy Weinstein, JW, old friend. I wanted him to, along with us, to concentrate a little bit on sending him off. And I have a second reason for offering that tonight. And one is that whenever I get a chance to share some of these words from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, I'm reminded that these instructions that are offered to the person who has passed are about as good of meditation instructions as one could ever have for living. So, this is from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And you can do this as your own meditation practice or instructions, or you can hold Jimmy Weinstein in your heart, mind, in your chitta, in your consciousness, and hopefully that he hears our wish for him to be free, to be liberated. From the Tibetan Book of the Dead, remember the clear light, the pure, clear light from which everything in the universe comes, to which everything in the universe returns, the original nature of our own mind, the natural state of the universe, unmanifest. Let go into the clear light, trust it, merge with it. It is your own true nature. It is home. The visions you experience exist within your consciousness. The forms they take are determined by your past actions, past attachments, your past desires, your past fears, your past karma. These visions have no reality outside of your consciousness. No matter how frightening some of them may seem, they cannot hurt you. Just let them pass through your consciousness They will all pass in time. No need to become involved with them. No need to become attracted to the beautiful visions. No need to be repulsed by the frightening ones. No need to be seduced or excited by the sexual ones. No need to be attached to them at all. Just let them pass. If you become involved with these visions, you may wander for a long time confused. Just let them pass through your consciousness like clouds passing through an empty sky. Fundamentally, they have no more reality than this. Remember these teachings. Remember the clear light, the pure, bright, shining light of your own nature. It is deathless. If you can look into the visions, you can experience and recognize that they are composed of the same pure, clear light as everything else in the universe. No matter where or how far you wander, the light is only a split second, a half breath away. It's never too late to recognize the clear light. So may he remember the clear light. Really important element of this teaching is the piece where it says, the visions you experience. So we can change the word vision to what we see in our mind stream, in our stream of thinking every day. The visions we experience exist within our consciousness. The forms they take are determined by your past attachments, your past desires, your past fears, your past karma. These visions have no reality outside your consciousness. So whatever visits our mind is the result of what has been practiced. The result of what has been experienced, been nurtured, cultivated. And this is just an understanding that, and teachings of Padma Sambhavi says, if you want to understand your past, look at your present experience. But the second half of his passage, which to me is the real inspiration of our practice, he says, if you want to understand your future, look at your present actions. That we may all have within us this intrinsic pure light, the deathless, the universe unmanifest. That's our true nature. But our chitta, this heart mind, this consciousness, gets colored by what is practiced. And at the heart of the Buddha's teaching on wise effort is the encouragement that one lets go of those things that have been practiced that are unwholesome and unhelpful. First, by recognizing the angry impulses, the greedy impulses, the self-obsessed impulses, the self-absorbed impulses, to notice that. And anything that can be noticed, then it's possible to feel and notice whether something for yourself. You don't have to take a list that you've read somewhere. You can see for yourself what is wholesome and helpful, onward leading toward being able to rest in this unborn, unconstructed Buddha nature, heart, mind, chitta, whatever you want to call it. And you can see those things that enhance that experience of openness, and you can see those experiences that shut you down, that frequently cause you to feel stressed outside the flow of life, that something's wrong with me. This is really the result of just conditioning in the mind. None of it really being personal in that it's just conditions. And when I say it's not personal, of course, it's conventionally speaking, it's personal. Your particular mind stream is different than mine, but the stream of consciousness is just a result of these elements, these what are called sankharas or conditions. And it is possible to really freshen every day of our life, to freshen our chitta, to freshen our consciousness, to just keep expanding that feeling of being home, of being able to remember that clear light and just dwell in a state of wakefulness and well-being. But it really depends on what we dwell upon. As the Buddha put it, whatever one frequently thinks about and dwells upon becomes the inclination of the mind. And that's not something to then judge ourselves because our mind has been inclining toward greed, hatred, and delusion. All of us have. But it's meant to be an inspiration to encourage your mind to dwell, to incline toward the wholesome, toward generosity, toward gratitude, toward patience, toward loving kindness, toward compassion, toward joy, toward equanimity. So there's always good news in the Dharma, as far as I'm concerned. The good news is what you actually are before you can think. The way it was in one of the suttas of the Anguttara Nikaya, the numbered suttas, luminous is this mind, brightly shining. That is a given to each of us. When we're not thinking, our mind is radiant. And it just knows. And it's just a given. It's not earned, it's just a given. This wish-fulfilling gem called awareness, wakefulness. Luminous is this mind. This is the passage from the Buddha. Brightly shining. But it is colored by the defilements that visit, by the habits of mind. This, the unpracticed yogi doesn't understand. And so they don't cultivate their mind. They just get wound up in the defilements. But then there's a second half to the sutra. This is a sutra that comes in pairs. Luminous is this mind, brightly shining, but it is untouched by the defilements that visit. This the yogi understands. So when you're sitting, remembering the clear light, then your mind is untouched by whatever goes through it. Even if you're hating on your neighbors for their noises, it's Lori, it's just, oh, there's the mind hating on the neighbors. Or if you're planning the revenge to somebody that said something, that's the revenge mind. Of course, you don't want to cultivate that. You want to see that it's painful, but you can see that awareness is untouched by that. Awareness is not angry. Awareness is noticing. Angry is angry. Frustrated is frustrated. Sad is sad. We simply rest in that capacity to notice this. Luminous is this mind, brightly shining, untouched by the defilements of visit. And then you have it's funny how in different traditions you have a different flavor. Another teaching from the Tibetan tradition, from Dujum Rinpoche, says, just notice right now, after your last thought has ceased and before the next one comes, isn't there a vivid clarity without anything in particular to see? How amazing. This is awareness. A vivid clarity without anything to see. But isn't it also true that suddenly a thought arises. If thought is noticed, it's just an expression of awareness. But if this thought goes unnoticed, it spreads out into ordinary thinking. And this is the chain of delusion. So the encouragement is to notice thoughts as they come. The possibility of being able to notice our thinking mind doesn't mean get rid of it, but it's possible not to continually incarnate in this chain of delusion where you are born into an imaginary version of yourself that is come from there and is going somewhere when we're always here. When we're always here. How many times a day do you remember that you've never ever left here? That the present time, real time is all there is, and the past is just a memory, and the future is just a dream. There's only an unfolding now. But if we recognize that we're aware and we just notice the thoughts, great. But if we don't notice them, we fall into delusion. So you have the intrinsic clarity and you have the potential for delusion. And then Nisargadatta, who I quote a lot, he says, when the mind is momentarily free of its usual preoccupations, it becomes quiet. And if you don't disturb that quiet and you stay in it, you'll discover that it's permeated with a light and a love you've never known. Yet you recognize it at once as your own nature. So the good news right off the bat. But then he says, with an honesty about our nature, our conditioned nature, and this is really essential for why we need to practice. He says the unruly mind will break that peace and obliterate that vision until all bonds are broken, until our grasping and attachment can lessen, until life becomes much more concentrated in present time. But he's still reminding us in this teaching that the nature of our heart is love, a light and a love you've never known. So it is an innocent condition for each of us that we have dwelled a lot on that, in that chain of delusion or the unruly mind that has broken the peace and obliterated that vision, but it's bound to return. And that's why it's the awakening process is to remind ourselves all day long, to reawaken in us, to keep freshening our heart mind, to freshen our chitta with love, with attention. That's the two main streams of our practice, love and attention. And even though, as I mention a lot, the love is the natural expression of a mind that's open and clear. But because we have become defiled, we have become occluded, contracted, we just have to reteach ourselves that love. So every day, all day long, metta, 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 metta. And we don't do it to get rid of anything. We do it to just freshen our chitta, to bring us back to our natural radiance, to our natural state of love. I keep using the word chitta tonight because usually when we talk about mind, we think of mind as something separate from the heart, but chitta is heart-mind. It's basically the whole consciousness. And that consciousness is influenced by whatever we frequently dwell upon. It's influenced by whatever it's basically by intentions. And if those intentions are wholesome, to incline toward love, then even things that we do will have a fruit like that. If the intention, if I say a word, it's neutral, but if I say it with the intention to harm, it causes suffering. It makes our chitta contract, our heart contract. So we just keep planting the seed of whatever will allow to chitta, consciousness, to express its full radiance. Does this interest you? I don't know. When I think about these things, I realize that it's the possibility of a tender heart and wise action and a generous flow of just generous spirit is totally within our capacity. I love the hearts coming up. So I love the last thing I'll leave you with is the words of Padmasambhava again, the same one who said, if you want to understand your past, look at your present experience. If you want to understand your future, look at your present actions. He says, recognize that your mind is as vast and empty as the sky. To know this, but he also wants you to know that it is necessary for your care, for the effects of your actions, of body, of speech, of mind, what you actually do with your mind. He suggests that is it's as refined as sifted barley flour. So your actions really matter. Of course, one of the actions that fulfills all the expressions of the Dharma is just to rest in a state of being aware. But we also need a lot of massaging of our love muscle, because we have gotten so conditioned to polarization, cruelty, ill will, blame, demand, judgment, comparing. We need just so much love as a seed planted. And every day just to consider that what this world needs is that boundless quality, the immeasurable quality of the heart called metta, loving kindness. And that what this world needs is the immeasurable quality of the heart when that loving kindness meets the pain that is in everybody's life. It needs that heart quality of compassion, not withdrawal. And what the world needs is that immeasurable quality of the heart, that's the radiant heart, which is joy, sympathetic joy, being able to be truly happy when you experience someone else being happy in this life, rather than envy or jealousy or self-blame. And what this world needs is a heart that is impartial, balanced, that can feel goodwill even to those beings in this world who, through their ignorance, cause harm to others. To include them in your loving kindness, as well as those who you very easily love. That all beings, we wish that they will grow in wisdom and compassion. But we meet them with the understanding that everyone is the heir of their condition, their karma. And their happiness or their unhappiness depends on their actions, not on, it certainly won't, my ill will won't help at all. We just wish that they find the way. And the best way that we can do that is to find the way ourselves, to remember the clear light, and then to love people up all day. So thanks for listening. I guess, Howie G, maybe we don't really have time, so I'll just say thanks for being here. As you know, we offer this freely. It's freely offered, but that doesn't necessarily mean free. It means it's created as a condition for you to be able to offer freely to support us. So with this circle of giving and receiving, so thanks in advance for any generosity that comes our way, me or anyone who takes this seat. So thanks always. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your past generosity. So let's keep it going, and thank you in advance. And just a reminder that a couple events coming up. 25th of October, half day in person in San Francisco. 26th at Spirit Rock, online for anyone anywhere. That's an all day. And end of September for any of you Texans, 4-day retreat outside of Houston. 25th of September, Insight Meditation Houston. And mid-October in Victoria, British Columbia. Those are the nearest ones. And then November in Arizona. I noticed there were some Arizonans here tonight. So up in north of Prescott at Garchin Buddhist Institute, wonderful retreat center. So anyway, see you along the Dharma Trail next week, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks again for the night. Please feel free to unmute and say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Howie.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
May we all
Remember the clear light.
Here.
I love all the emojis tonight. How fun. Whoa. Oh, we're so easily entertained.
Thank you.
Thank you, Howie.
Wait, thank you.
Good night.
Way to go, Maureen.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Actually meditated tonight. Good night.
Good night, all.
Thank you, Howie G.
Of course.
Hope I didn't steal your Donna talk.
You took the words out of my mouth, but I had posted it already on the chat, so.
Thank